Good evening, everyone. Welcome in to another night of Dave's Disney's Life. Welcome in. I hope everybody knows my co-host Mike.
Hi guys.
He still don't want to face the fact that Starbucks is closed, but we'll save that fight for another day. Because we got a lot of good things going on tonight. Obviously, we have a good guest with us tonight.
We do.
Everybody loves this gentleman in the community. He's well respected in the Disney community as well as the Disney YouTube community.
Yes.
But first, we're going to welcome in all our people. Welcome in Dave Stragan. Welcome in Lamont Gray. Welcome in Jonathan Chung, who just came in. Welcome our good friend Mama D. Welcome in Gloria Thibodeau and Jason Thibodeau. Welcome in, guys. Of course, welcome in Dippity Doo Dog. Everybody, please make sure you go check mods. Please make sure we're putting the links into all of these different creators, please. For sure. Welcome in Jill.
Hi, Jill.
Paul Engel, of course, Paul Engel. Make sure somebody, because I know Paul, I've told him many times to put his own link in there, and I know he won't, but please make sure we put Paul Engel's link in there, because I know he does a lot of good stuff as well. Content. And
hi, Tina. Welcome in. Good to see you.
Who's that? Wait a minute. Dean the Turkey Lecture. Welcome in. Who else am I missing?
Yes, the Tina's in here.
Tina Marie?
Yes.
Yay! Tina. Oh, I love Tina. Tina, how are you doing?
Lady.
It's good. Yes, Tina is such a good lady. It's good. You know, and I gotta get her on. I'm telling you. I've got to get Maui. I'm telling you, I'm going to be bringing the Triple C people back on this show.
They all need to come.
Well, I will say I'm doing better than I was Saturday because, guys, we're going to have a great show tonight.
We are.
Obviously, here's the thing. We got a special guest tonight who is well known in the community. Yeah, thank you, Doug. I know. I'm going to tell you, I had a terrible meltdown, and you know what? I appreciate Pete calling and giving me a good swift kick in the caboose. I needed that night. Obviously, welcome in Jen Monorail Molly. But guys, we've got a special guest here tonight, and I'm going to tell you, we've got some big news. I know most of you mods know what's going on. Please don't say anything at this point until I announce it. But we do got a pretty good. I'm going to tell Stacy Rogers is in the house. Hey, Stacy, please, you guys will want to be here next Monday as well. We are going to have another phenomenal guest. Mike knows. I probably talked with Mike on Instagram chat for about 30 minutes, Mike?
It was about 25 minutes about it.
About 25. Also, we did have set a date. We'll talk about this more towards the end of the show. We did set a date with a Zoom call to schedule the Give the Kids World fundraiser in October. So we will talk more about that. But now I want to bring... Yes, make sure you definitely do. Thank you, Debbie, for putting the links in. Show you the ears. Everybody just wants to see the ears. Okay, let's bring in. Hey, Daniel Berry Sports Highlight.
Hello.
Boy, y'all are wanting the ears. Okay. Well, then you know what? Let's bring in the ears.
Let's bring in the ears.
He's such a good guy. Let's welcome in John Spaceship Ears. John, good evening, buddy. Again, you can see how much you're loved in the chat.
Thanks, guys, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be able to be on your show, Dave. I appreciate every minute of it. And what you bring to the community yourself means the world. So appreciate everything you guys do.
I do the best I can. like I said, you were in there on Saturday night, John. You all know I had a meltdown, and that only happens when you're under the stress that I was under. And again, I appreciate Pete giving me a swift kick in the caboose.
You're doing
And
great.
y'all heard, huh?
No, you're doing great. I don't know. I think you're trying to increase your channel membership and viewers. So I don't know why you had me on. But anyway, I'll try to do my best.
No, because again, because of what, you've got a small, as much as you say it's about your family, you yourself have worked with Disney on projects, but then you got a father. So it's not just it's your whole family legacy. And I understand that. As much as I know, the only thing that I have is that I had a step uncle, but I mean.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm just a fan like anybody else. There's no difference between me and anybody else once I enter those gates. My eyes light up. I get excited. I want to go get some popcorn. I just have a few more stories that make the rides and the experience a little bit more fun. But at the end of the day, I'm just a fan like anybody else. So no difference whatsoever.
Well, as much as you don't want to say that your father has made a big difference, because your dad was a creator of a lot of the stuff that we get to see now that we all enjoy, and we still are amazed that every time we walk through the gates of no matter which park it is.
Yes. I'm very blessed. Not many people get a chance to have a family member who's been part of that experience, but two family members who've been doing that. My grandfather, of course, has been involved since the early days. His name's up on Main Street in Florida. And my dad, you guys have seen the interview Dad did with Pete. He's a legend in and of itself, designing Spaceship Earth and Epcot and so forth. So I'm extremely, extremely blessed to be able to have been grown up amongst these amazing people. And I just hope through osmosis, I absorbed some of it. Somehow I ended up in the tech industry, but I like to think that I'm carrying forward some of those creative juices.
And I agree with that, because even with now, believe it or not, I am stepping into the AI world, and I never thought, at first, I never really agreed with the AI, but the more I use it, now I'm taking small training courses to work on AI, and I'm talking the different versions of the AI. One, to help my business. Obviously my travel business, and everybody's well aware of that. To help market that. But you yourself, let me ask you, how did your love? And I know you got your father in that, but do you know how the actual love for Disney started with your whole family?
That's a great
even
question.
With your grandfather.
Yeah, so as you probably know, my father and my grandfather, they're not, Imagineers from scratch. They're from the film industry. My grandfather won 3 Academy Awards for art direction. My father is no slouch in that department either. He art directed and production designed Ghostbusters and Top Gun and all the other movies you've probably heard of. So their entry point wasn't necessarily Disney. However, I should point out, if you know anything about Disneyland history and how it started, Walt didn't go around finding the best carousels and the best county fair people in the world. He went to the film industry. And there's a reason for that. He wanted to bring the film experience to the park. And so when he first started out, he got a bunch of film people who didn't know diddly about how to create a county fair or how to create carousels. But the important part was the experience, and was it about the storytelling. And that, to this day, is why we spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to go to this theme park instead of the county fair down the road. Why? At the end of the day, are the rides that much different? No, but it's the storytelling and it's the compelling nature of what they're trying to tell that really brings the people back. So that's how my father and my grandfather got involved, was through that film industry conduit, right? Where they said, guys, we need people who can tell visual stories extremely well. And that's kind of how they got their foot in the door, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Obviously, I can honestly tell you that, everybody wonders, about traveling, and a lot of people love traveling, but not many people are willing to do what TAs do as far as travel advisors. Again, I will say, and all I'm going to say is I followed that lineage because my grandfather, my grandfather and my grandmother, who my mom's mom passed away when she was in high school, but they one, that's why I have the love of Florida. They're in the south. It seems to be that lineage. My grandfather, my dad, well, what would be my grandfather, my mom's dad, worked for a school district up in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
What do? I'm a custodian. 21. It'll be starting 21 years in June. There, that lineage. During the summer, they came down to Florida. They had a house down here, but they also ran a motel near Coral Springs. So there you go. And then they took my mom and my aunt and traveled around the country. So at that point, now it's that family lineage that seems to pass on, and somebody ends up with the buck. I mean, obviously, that's just, am I right, John? It just seems that bug seems to hit.
I'm so grateful for what you do, Dave. Don't ever think that any job is no greater or no lesser than anyone else's job. There's a famous picture of Walt Disney himself picking up trash, on Disneyland. So, it's up to all of us to keep our places that we love clean. So I'm very grateful for what you do.
Oh yeah, and I love it. But regardless of what the job is, I'm just my point is that when you get a lineager like you have, or even with mine, you understand where we come from when you look at the back history of where we come from.
Absolutely.
Obviously, and then because obviously my grandfather loved Disney. The what?
Both the good and the bad. Everybody's family there's no perfect family. Every family has issues. I have issues in my family, just like anyone else. Yeah. And there's stuff we grapple with throughout our life is how to deal with both the good stuff and the bad stuff that we were dealt.
Exactly. And of course, we deal with the good stuff because what do we all love? What brings us all together? Our love of Disney.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's face it.
That's right.
Well, I can think of some other people that need to go because they really do need some intervention, but we won't go into that discussion at this point.
Well,
actually, he needs several interventions, but
something to think about though is why is it Disney we're talking about? Why do we spend so much time and effort about this one particular company when other companies are making theme parks too? Obviously, we all love Universal and we all love the other theme parks, but no one here is pulling in thousands of people watching a live stream of some Six Flags attraction somewhere. So what is it about this place that really makes the difference? And I have to come back to the storytelling aspect and the theming. That's what it all comes down to.
I have to ask you a question, and I don't know if this question was brought up in Pete. Now I know did your grandfather, obviously your grandfather might have met Walt. Did your father ever meet Walt?
Yeah.
No, actually, my grandfather never met Walt directly. There were some close calls, but I don't think they ever worked together exactly. But no, my dad didn't meet him either. My dad was brought on after Walt's death, in fact, because what happened was that, as you probably know, Walt has this famous presentation where he gave his vision for Epcot, and he talked about how it'll be a city of the future, etc. Well, not immediately, but soon after that, he passed, and the rest of the company kind of went into a creative tailspin. They didn't know what to do. Oh my gosh, he wanted us to create a city? Was he crazy? It was completely outside the bounds of everything Disney had stood for that day. So that's the point when they brought in folks like Marty Sklar and my dad and John Hench and other folks to figure out, okay, let's scratch our heads a little bit and try to figure out how to bring some of that vision that he had in his head to life.
Did he ever meet
the second part of that question? Second part to that question is, how does a man like Walt, who has a vision and sees all this stuff, and yet most people, you're talking about a time of age where you're going through, you just got off of World War II, you got Korea War going, you're only a few years from Vietnam going on. Everybody's looking at this guy like, what are you doing? You're crazy. You're nuts.
Well, that's what they said about
not in a bad way, just that, what, and yet somehow we know for a fact that he loves family. How did did he bring that all together and was able to pull that off even and brought that even into the parks?
Right, and he was an amazing man, and if you haven't read his biography, I highly recommend it. There's no other people like him, and the fact everything that you just said, people said to him about Snow White. Hey, you're going to make a movie out of an animated thing? You're crazy. Hey, you're going to make a theme park? You're crazy.
Yeah.
And it just continued over and over and over again, and the man just kept stamping out successes until he passed. Who knows what Epcot would have been, if he'd lived another 10 or 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a city. It may not be a theme park. It could actually been a full well-built city, which was what his intention was, if you understand the full.
So after Walt passed, my dad was brought in with a bunch of other people. Ray Bradbury, by the way, the famous science fiction author.
Oh, Lord, Ray Bradbury,
Ray Bradbury was as much to credit for the success of Epcot as anybody else has been. There's a script floating around the internet with Ray Bradbury's original thoughts of what Spaceship Earth should be like.
Really?
I recommend everybody go hunt that out and read it because it's so insightful and it really tells you the story.
Was it different than what we know today?
And we all love seeing Walt's statue in front of Spaceship Earth, and more rightly so. Yes. But I make no apologies when I say, hey, there should be a statue of Ray somewhere in that park too. He was just as instrumental as anyone else. He was an amazing thinker. And we talked a little bit about Spaceship Earth too, but another one is Buckminster Fuller, the guy who originally created the notion of the geodesic sphere. We could talk about that now or later. It's up to you.
You know what? I was about to get that way because we know for a fact.
Yes.
I mean, you love the geometric sphere. Your dad and grandfather had a big hand in that geometric sphere, if I understand correct. How did they decide? Again, and like Mike said, you look at it, you think of a big, gigantic, all I do want to do is pull out a big putt-putt and go putt-putting with the big putt.
Exactly.
But it's such a classic line. It is such a classic line.
It is.
I got to ask you, how did Walt decide? I mean, did Walt actually decide that? Was that something he envisioned, or was it something that Roy helped guide?
As far as I know, Spaceship Earth was not part of Walt's original plan. That came in with Ray. That came in with Ray Bradbury's ideas in combination with, Marty and John and my father. And the whole notion of Spaceship Earth is that it tells a story. It's very easy to condense it down to tell the story of communication. Well, I mean, who cares? But if you look back at the span of human history, storytelling began with people drawing pictures on the walls. And that was the very first form of communication. So the story that Spaceship Earth is trying to tell is central and it's critical to the whole notion of Epcot all up. And that's why it was created very intentionally to be the central point. We talked about things we look at when we enter a theme park. The other big contributor to that idea is a very famous historian and scientific guy named Buckminster Fuller. Buckminster Fuller, or Bucky as he's known, he created many, many amazing inventions, including a chemical compound called buckyball and things like that. But one of his ideas, and he wrote it all down in a book called Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth. Amazing book if you haven't read it. But he came up with this idea of a geodesic sphere or a geodesic object. And what that means is simply, forgive me, I'm going to get a little mathematical here. If you take any sphere, what's the shortest path between 2 points on the sphere? It's this thing called a great circle, which basically is like the equator on the Earth, right? Well, if you draw a whole bunch of those on a sphere, you're going to end up with a geodesic surface. You may think, well, okay, big whoop. What's the difference about that? In Buckminster Fuller's book, he describes a geodesic as the shortest path between 2 points on the sphere. So symbolically, Spaceship Earth is really the literal meaning of connecting people as close as possible. So whenever you look at that sphere, you can think, okay, this is how we try to bring people together and to increase communication amongst all the folks on Earth.
Yeah.
And, obviously it's funny when I hear, the golf ball, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of people don't understand that deeper concept and what they were trying to bring. So there's a lot of great stories there too.
Yeah. I mean, we're still trying to figure out Mike's hieroglyphics. And I'm not even sure if the science can understand his hieroglyphics.
Well, if you go back and you read
Oh,
Bradbury's
sorry, Mike.
script-
I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to every word.
If you go back and read Bradbury's script, he talks about those cave walls and how those hieroglyphics are so important. And there were some really heady ideas about what they were trying to. He would have had some scenes in that show where the cave wall would have become digital and would reappear and disappear before your eyes and all kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of great stuff in that script.
Here's another question, because I know you do you ever see them? Because we know they've updated outside of the ball with the LED lights and the music and the music show and all that.
Yeah,
which is
Do
great.
you see them? Do you ever see them? Because at one point there's supposed to be a refurbishment. Do you ever see them either updating that story to where the communications are? I mean, because communications have come far. From what we have come far compared to what is in
Spaceship Earth
now to where we are now, communication. Do you ever see them updating it to that point at some point?
Well, they have over the years, you know. They brought in the garage at the very end, supposedly intending to be Steve Jobs' garage or Wozniak's, I'm not sure which. The problem is you have a constrained space, right? And you have this ball, and you can only fit so much stuff into it. Honestly, I have a hot take on this. If it were me, I would rip out the entire second half of that with the monitors and put in continue the story as you come down the sphere. But that's my hot take. But you're right, they have changed it over the years, but due to the nature of the sphere itself, there's not a whole lot of place to go to. You know?
And you're right. You're right. I mean, but you got that.
The attraction itself wasn't originally intended to be inside the sphere. It was intended to be in the base. And the sphere would contain the finale of the ride. So you would ascend at the very end and see the universe.
That's cool.
Now, see, I have never heard that. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
It's true. That's why the base is so large. You know, if you look at the footprint, the whole ride was supposed to be in the base, and then the finale would be in the interior of the sphere. One fine day, I don't know how they came up with this, but they decided, let's put the whole bloody ride in the sphere. Which, you know, as you probably have heard, given Bob Gurr and other legends like that, big heartburns.
They probably did. Oh my goodness! But when you got people like Bob Gurr and Joe Rhodes and Tony Baxter, and the problem was they were so intelligent they made it work. I mean,
yes, exactly.
You know, and even your father and your grandfather, they all made it work.
Well, my father and grandfather were kind of, you know, if you go watch Bob Gurr gives talks, he likes to tell the story of my grandfather just coming over and shooting crazy ideas at them and say, okay, I've given you my idea. I'm going to collect my paycheck. You guys figure it out. So my father and my grandfather were the idea guys. And as they are wont to do, they come up with some crazy ideas. Not all of them are very realistic. For example, I don't know if you know, one other funny story, correct me or interrupt me if I don't have time for this, but the Space Pavilion in Epcot was not originally the original Space Pavilion.
Really?
You guys know Mission Space, which is currently there now, right? You guys have been on it. It's a centrifuge type ride.
Nope.
Well, before that was a famous attraction called Horizons, which was amazing. We all love
that ride.
But even before Horizons was originally going to be a space pavilion. And the idea behind it was that it would be this ginormous hangar, and you would basically launch people into space from it. It would have actually dwarfed Spaceship Earth in terms of its size and scope, due to the nature and how big it was. My grandfather worked on some ideas on that with Ray Bradbury. And the idea behind it was to have do you know the Circle Vision movies, like in Canada?
Yes, I love those.
Oh, yeah, 360 Vision.
Yeah.
Oh.
The idea he came up with was to take two of those, sandwich them together like an Oreo, and then have the whole bloody thing spin. So that as you're sitting inside it,
this is the coolest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah, this is awesome.
And I wish we do that now.
To this day, I think Bob Gurr is cursing our family for that idea. For what it's worth, it never came to fruition. But that was an example of some of the crazy ideas he came up with.
Let me ask you this question seriously. Now, with that idea, do you think they could do that now?
I think the technology is better. And obviously they can pull it off. You know, if you bring in Flight of passage technology or any other kind of
Yeah.
modern attraction, they can probably pull it off. Yeah.
Mhm.
The question is whether they have the will and the budget
Of
and
course.
the other financial
Of course.
aspirations to actually pull it off too.
And
Now,
I was going to say you hit the nail on the head on one of them, and that's
yeah.
that budget for
Yep.
everything that they say they want to keep
Mhm.
doing, and all of a sudden, oh, sorry, we can't afford it. But
Well, at the
now
end of the day,
it
it's
makes
business.
you wonder.
I think they could do it. Yeah.
They probably can, and we're waiting to see how this plays out on a lot of things. I mean,
Yeah.
now things that they've suspended before. Now,
Yes.
now they brought in all these new lands that are coming in.
Mhm.
And now on top of that, they've replaced it, and I don't know, and I think they've changed the name, but they're still doing that natural life type of DVC resort, which was eventually put
Mhm.
on hold because of the
Yes.
park shut down, and there no
Yes.
money after that. And now look
Mhm.
at it. Now they're reviving that one. I mean, I got a question. Here's a question for you, and I know we theorized it, and maybe, and I swear, quote me if I'm wrong, Mike. We've
Okay.
talked about
Yeah.
me, you, and Richard have talked
Yeah.
about that, but at one point they were talking about putting a resort at Epcot. Was that ever true, or is that was just things
I
that were?
don't know if that was true or not because
That's why I want to ask straight from
oh,
the source, because
yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't ring a bell to me. You mean inside the park itself?
Yeah. Well, but I think the idea was to basically have it at the back of World Showcase, so that
Okay.
way you can come in through that way. The sort of like the way that
Like the
um
DCA has its own back entrance kind
yeah.
of thing to the
Mhm.
park, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Perhaps I
Now
hadn't heard of that.
now
Um,
we and but then we do have a question in the
yes,
chat for you, which is this. What did you think of the new Snow White film?
I did not see it, so I
I
have
didn't-
no
I haven't
official
either.
opinion. I will not touch that third rail. Thank you very much. But I
Okay.
have thoughts that I will not convey, and I will plead the fifth on.
That's
Put it
fair.
that way.
That's fair. Now, for me, when Spaceship Earth was done
Yes.
and your dad and your grandfather rode the ride,
Yes.
what did they think of it?
Oh gosh,
The very
I was
first
too
time that they
young to
rode it with no
remember
gas.
that, but I was
It was
very
just them.
lucky. A couple years ago, I came to the parks. They had
Mhm.
there's a group called the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society, a
Mhm.
nonprofit group, and they
Mhm.
put on a great show called Retro Magic, where they bring in all
Great.
kinds of old Imagineers and so forth. They invited my dad to speak. They
Wonderful.
invited Peggy Ferris, who was the show producer for Spaceship
Mhm.
Earth.
Mhm.
And I got to, hop on Spaceship Earth with the both of them right behind them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Some of the
Mhm.
original creators.
Yeah.
And they still love it.
Good.
Obviously they have thoughts about, the second half especially and so forth. But
I love that quiz, by the way. I really do like it because and
it's getting a little long in the tooth. That's one thing I will point out.
yeah, but
But Peggy can still recite those hieroglyphics from memory, in the Egypt scene. So
wonderful.
yeah, amazing
Yeah,
people.
that's great. Now, when I ride the Spaceship Earth, one of my favorite things to do is when you exit the ride, you get to see yourself on the map.
Yes.
And this last time that I went, my picture was like on that map, and I'm like, finally, I'm on the map. But then I forgot to take the picture.
Oh no!
Shoot, darn, I missed it. But now, how did your dad create that exit part, which is like really cool?
He didn't. The short answer is he didn't. All of that is new. It was
Oh,
created in
really?
a recent renovation. I can't remember exactly what year it was. But
Mhm.
if the original concept was you would descend from the top of Spaceship Earth
Yes.
once you saw the Earth, And there were a bunch of vignettes, there were a bunch of different scenes explaining what communication might look like in the future,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
with bits and ones and zeros floating back and forth and so
Mhm.
forth. And then you would end up in the base where they had a few, if I remember correctly, they had a few kind of experiential, kind of
Yeah.
hands-on type of
Yes.
stuff to really hammer the message home. So
Mhm.
all of that, those video screens, all of that
Mhm.
ending, that's all new. It was added, I believe, when they added the Dame Judi Dench narration. I
Yes,
can't
which
remember
she
the
does
name
a
of the
fantastic
year
job
off
of
the top
it,
of my
by
head.
the way. Mhm.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Jeremy Irons one myself, but they're both great.
That's fair, that's
Yep.
fair.
Mhm.
Now, here's I'm going to throw this out, and this is more about you continuing. I mean, I know you worked with. I don't know if it was directly. I can't remember. It's been a while since I listened to that interview, but I
Sure.
know you worked with Disney. Was it direct, and what kind of projects were you involved with?
Probably the best story. It's very indirect. I've never worked for Disney per se.
Mm.
However, I have been involved in a few projects. For example, I worked at Sony for a number of years, and they had a four-legged robot called Aibo, AIBO, that they came out with as a kind of entertainment robot. Now, this was back in the 2000s. This is a long time ago. Um, However, you can probably imagine there were a number of Disney Imagineers whose ears perked up when they heard, "You mean I can buy a robot and I can have it at home and play with it?" One of those Imagineers was an amazing gentleman. His name was Bruce Gordon, and he designed Splash Mountain. He
Mm.
designed a bunch of other attractions.
Mhm.
And I actually met him at one of these meetups for the robot. We had little meetups in LA for people who had bought this thing. And he was there front and center, you know, just as excited as any other customer and kid could be. And we got to know each other pretty well after that
Mhm.
fact. He was an amazing guy. He passed way too early in his
Mm.
50s, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
But yeah, we lose the good ones early.
Mm.
But I was very lucky to be at least a kind of part of that. I'm also lucky too because my dad's friends with Tony. I think I told the story of going on Indiana Jones during the interview. That's a fun story too. But
Oh,
I'm
please,
lucky enough.
if you want to share that
Please
one, please share it
Yeah. So the
when you
fun part
please.
about that story is Tony was friends with my dad, and as you probably know, Tony invented and designed Indiana Jones Adventure. And to this day, I'm not trying to puff anybody up. To this day, I will put that attraction up against any masterpiece of any artist. I think that was a beautiful,
Mm.
brilliant attraction. I don't know if you guys have been on it or not.
Now,
Oh, if you ever get to LA, that's a requirement. You must go on that attraction. I
speak
think it's Tony's masterpiece.
speaking of that with
Yeah.
the Indiana Jones, how do you feel about them bringing a version of that ride to the Animal Kingdom?
I think it's great. In fact, Dinosaur, which was there before, it was
Yes.
called Countdown to Extinction before
Yes.
that, if I
Yes.
yeah.
remember correctly.
Mhm.
It was actually a carbon copy of Indiana Jones, you know,
Really?
down to the vehicles and the
Oh,
track and
wow.
everything. So it'll probably be very easy for them to convert that back into the original.
Okay.
So I think it just makes a lot of sense. Whether
Okay.
it fits in there or not, I don't know. We'll see what they do with it, but I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
But Tony, I think that's Tony's masterpiece by far. Um, the interesting thing about that was that he invited me and my family to go ride it before it opened up to the public, which was a great honor. I was very happy about that. So when, you know, I was begging my dad, "Yes, Dad, I want to go on this thing, please." So we ended up trudging down to Anaheim one night
Mm.
before the ride opened. In fact, the press was lined up. It was the night of the press preview,
Mhm.
and Tony met my dad and me at the car, and he ushered us through the back entrance.
Mhm.
But because these artists are who they are, they didn't want us to just hop on the car. He wanted to show us the entire experience, including the queue. And as you probably can guess, the queue is just as important to the experience as any other part of the attraction.
Absolutely.
I could talk about an hour for that. But anyway, he walked us through the queue, and my eyes were agog. I was amazed. Then we hopped on the car, and the ride started up. If you know anything about the ride, it's actually on a track, but the car itself is hydraulics. So it actually moves like that, if you know
Mhm.
anything about how the ride works. Well, the first ride through, there was a technical problem, and the hydraulics didn't work. So it was a slow little ride through the Indiana Jones adventure.
Oh,
Um,
no.
and I love the interior, but honestly, my heart was broken because I had looked forward to this thing for
Oh.
so long, and I'm
Oh,
like, "Oh gosh.
Oh,
And what do I say? I have the creator right here in front of me. And I was trying to come up with the words to praise him and, give him some credit. And Tony, he had his head like this. He was shaking his hands when we got back into the bay. No, the hydraulics didn't work. Let's do it again. So we went through the second time, same exact thing. The hydraulics didn't work. So at that point, we were all kind of laughing.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Finally, on the third try, the hydraulics kicked in, and then I was happy. I said, okay.
All
good.
right. 3 times. Great.
The funniest part was that my mother, who really, bless her soul, she was alive at the time. She's not anymore, but she never really liked fast or adventurous thrill rides. So she told Tony in her southern drawl, "Oh, I liked it better the first 2 times." Tony took it all in style, but that was
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Woo.
Woo.
But yes, I highly recommend if you ever make it out to Disneyland.
Yes.
I think that's Tony's
Well, I would like to go to Disneyland actually and see everything.
You'll see it eventually in Florida.
Yeah. Now, when you were growing up,
Yeah.
so with that, how did your love of Disney actually start?
Oh, that's a great question.
How did your love of Disney start?
So my dad, I grew up in LA.
Yes.
And going to Disneyland for a lot of LA folks is kind of like going down to the local park.
Yes.
So many people go there, and
Yes.
at least back then, when it wasn't exorbitantly expensive. But I ended up going there quite a bit as a kid, and contrary to most guests rope dropped and they lined up and they ran to their favorite attraction. My dad took my hand and he guided me not to the entrance of the attractions. He guided me to the exit. And we sat down and we started counting people coming out of the exits. And he showed me his stopwatch. And that's the point where he started teaching me about ride capacity and ride throughput and how many people can get through a ride and what makes a good ride and what makes a bad ride and things like that. And I cherish those memories so much because they really taught me not just about the mathematical aspect of it, but what are we trying to do here with all these different dark rides and attractions and things like that? What makes these things so compelling and what makes them worth it at the end of the day? So I got that love of these attractions from him very literally. And I got to know and understand from him quite directly what makes certain attractions work and what makes certain attractions not work.
Which one is your absolute favorite?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough one. There's so many I could name. Obviously, I love Spaceship Earth because of the family history. Indiana Jones, I just raved about. I would put Rise of the Resistance up there too. I think it's a stone cold masterpiece.
Okay.
I took my dad on it, and he says, "Yeah, that's one of the best attractions ever made." And we could talk about the other side of the spectrum someday too. But I'd put those 3 up as probably the best.
Okay.
Nice. Nice.
So I have some breaking news that I may be able to endow here. I know you have your own exciting news, Dave, but may I break some news?
Go right ahead.
Hey,
go
for it.
So I've been lucky and blessed to be part of this community for quite a while, since 2020, 2021, since the pandemic kicked in. I've met so many wonderful and loving people in the chat. I've made lots of friends. I've met people in person, and everybody I've met is just a sweetheart and an angel. Some of them have reached out and said, "John, you have so many interesting stories about these things. When are you going to start your own channel?" Okay. And I've been toying with the idea for a while. I played with a podcast for a few things, but it didn't really work out because the stories I'm trying to tell are visual. It's really hard to tell visual stories through audio. So after a lot of pushing from the right people and a lot of friendly persuasion, I'm happy to announce I'm going to start my own YouTube channel.
Wonderful.
I'm going to start it up in about a month or so.
That's fantastic.
Yay. Please make sure you send the link so we can pass it out and push out.
My purpose is it's going to be a little different than most channels you've seen. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to take each episode and really dive as deep as I can into a particular attraction. So maybe one day we'll talk about Peter Pan. Maybe one day we'll talk about Adventure
I
Through Inner
love
Space.
that ride.
One day we'll talk about Space Mountain.
I
And we're going to
love
go
Peter
deep.
Pan.
We're going to go as deep as we can historically, but most importantly, we're going to talk about why these attractions work and why they don't work. There are certain aspects of it. How immersive are they? How good are they on the storytelling aspect? Things like that. So I was struggling a lot. I was thinking about a potential name. And I went back and I looked at the narration for Spaceship Earth. Do you know what the very first words are of that narration?
Wait a minute. You're going through. Wait a minute.
Pop quiz. No.
The only one. Oh, it does. Oh, well, like a grand and miraculous spaceship.
You're right there. So I'm going to name it Grand and Miraculous. That'll be the name of my channel.
That's fantastic. I love it.
I knew it. I just didn't want to say it because I know you had told me in
Grand and
IG and it would have been unfair.
That's at the
No
top
problem.
of the
I
ride.
know you're of your own news, and I don't want to upstage
Before
that
you
news.
sit
too, but-
around.
No. Well, you ain't gonna. I mean, that's great news, John. Because
Fantastic
honestly,
news.
you've got so many wonderful stories, and I mean,
Mhm.
when you do get the channel back, I would love to have you back out and
Sure.
talk
Oh,
to you
absolutely.
more about it,
Sure.
and maybe you can share us, as you get ready to do it and develop it.
And I'm so grateful for all the folks in chat, all the people who pushed
Um,
me along, and they said, "John, you gotta do this. You gotta do this." So I'm very grateful. You know who you are.
We
You do need-
have a question in the chat for you.
The good thing about this, yeah, I'm happy. Oh, can I drop the link? If you have the link, feel free,
Drop the link.
Jen. Go ahead.
Yes,
I-
if you
I
got
don't
the
have
link,
much
drop
there.
it.
I only
Yeah.
did a teaser video up there, so I'm planning on starting in a few weeks, maybe in a month or so.
Okay.
So we'll see. And I figure, if it doesn't work, well, I have a finite number of attractions to talk about, so we can call it quits after we're done. But
You
we'll
know
see how-
what? I mean, it's about, here's again, and you know about this. Sometimes it's not always, numbers are important, but sometimes it's not about the numbers. It's
Right.
about what you're presenting and passing.
Right.
And we've all gone through that. We've all talked
Mhm.
about that. Yes, we want the numbers. We all want to grow, but it's about the quality that you're bringing. Like I said, I mean, we've talked about this before the show started, that you look at my shows, you'll see where I'm serious and I'm doing, like tonight,
Yeah.
we're having fun, but we're,
Yes.
we got that serious, but their thing, but then you look at my Friday and Saturday night shows, and heaven help, we're all rolling out of our chairs and we're just waiting for one of us to die of a heart attack because we're laughing so hard. We don't know who's going to choke to death because we don't know what's going to happen next.
Mhm.
Right. And that's
Mhm.
part of the fun as well. So
Yeah.
thank you, Molly. Appreciate you putting
Yes.
the link in.
Yeah,
chat.
thank you, Molly.
So we'll see what
Well-
happens. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But we'll have some stories to tell. That'll be the fun part of it.
And I look forward to it.
Okay. So
And yes,
yeah.
actually,
I wouldn't. No, go ahead, Dave. Oh yeah. I will be doing the same in a little bit.
The interesting thing about this stuff is,
Mhm.
why do we spend so much money to
Guys.
line up in our line to go into a big box full of plywood with characters on it, on
I
a track?
love it.
And you have to
oh,
think
I
about-
love the banner. I love your banner.
Love it.
Can I enlarge myself to show them your
Sure, go
channel,
ahead.
what it looks like?
Sure.
John?
It's just a thought. It's just draft
Go ahead.
stuff up there now. But
No,
I'm
I
happy
mean,
for feedback.
but guys, this is the channel. Please go follow that link that Molly put in.
Yes.
And I mean, it
That
really is awesome.
beautiful
We've
banner.
got them up
Oh my
to,
goodness, that's
oh,
beautiful.
and John said you're up to look at, you're already up to 13, John.
Hey, I'll take it. That's great. I'll pass Dame.
You got everybody back here, and we are going
Yeah.
to, we are definitely going to,
Yes, and I will be subscribing.
You guys are
in a
awesome. I
minute.
really appreciate it.
we are definitely going to push you out even more.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
I've
it.
always believed in that, Pete and a lot of the people have helped push me out. And Mike, I do that.
Yes, you
I
do,
follow
yes.
suit and I do what I can, and that's
Yes.
always say that. And look at that,
Mhm.
everybody is subscribing. We're gonna get you going, John. By the time
Wow.
you get that channel and put up your first video, you're gonna be
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it. I think
Yeah.
there are lots of great stories that, I don't have all the stories. The stories are communal. And my intent is to have these things be live so people can come in and tell their own stories about the attraction.
Wonderful.
What is it that they liked? What is it that they didn't like?
Mm.
And we're going to cover the bad ones too. Don't get me wrong. We're going to talk about the ones that didn't work. And
Yeah, I already know a bad one. I already know a bad one. It's called Starbucks. Every time you walk into it, it hurts your wallet. Every time you go there, and I don't care what the guy in the right. I don't care what that guy to the right of me said or left of me said.
Dave,
it hurts the wallet.
Seattle, my friend. I'm going to get kicked out if you're too loud about that. So.
Aha. Aha! Another one on my side. All right.
Anyways, and that's good. So and obviously, so do you see yourself doing live interviews? Talking with people, or just
I'm not planning on planning anything too grandiose out. I just want to go out and have some fun, tell some stories, and try to understand what is it about these things we line up for in big boxes that really make us, dream and think big. There's something about it. In fact, allow me to opine for a moment. When you enter Disneyland, or if you enter Magic Kingdom, I don't know if you've ever thought about this or heard this. Mm-hmm. It's a very cinematic experience. Mm. Most theme parks, you go through the gate, there's a roller coaster, there's the carousel, whatever. But when you enter the park, you don't see everything at first, huh? You start entering the park, you see the train station, of course, yes. But everything's occluded. Mm-hmm. You enter these 2 tunnels on either side. Yes. And what do you see on either side of you as you enter these tunnels? Do you know? Yes. What's hanging on the wall?
Wait a minute. On the left is the firehouse. Where the
before that, inside the tunnel itself.
Trying to remember it.
Exactly. So you see posters of the attraction,
which I love.
What is that meant to invoke? It's meant to invoke coming attractions.
Yes.
And it's meant to invoke the movie experience, saying here are the things you're about to experience, right? Yes.
Nice.
And then you enter the plaza, and then you turn the corner, and then boom, you see what we call the weenie in the theme park world. There's a castle right there, standing great and tall.
Oh yes.
And at that point, you go to the hub, and you can go to Frontierland or Fantasyland or whatnot. Mm-hmm. The whole experience is intended to be extremely cinematic and to tell a story. And that's what I'm convinced. That's one of the reasons people still shell out, including us, hundreds and hundreds of dollars to have that experience versus a carousel and a roller coaster down the road.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, when I see the castle, always, I'm like, I know that I'm back in Disney. But then the worst part, is always on the last day when I walk up Main Street, and then I turn around, look at the castle for the last time of that trip. I hate that feeling, and it's the same thing with Epcot. I always have to see the ball right before I leave, and it's like I don't want to leave Epcot. I love that park. It is absolutely great. Now,
Epcot and World Showcase were not originally intended to be together.
Really?
They were originally intended to be 2 separate theme parks.
Yeah. Ow, I never knew that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I guess you have the option of exiting through France, and then you don't have to feel bad.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
For the UK, I should say.
Yes. With the International Gateway. Now, when Epcot was being done, now, how did they pick the countries?
That's a great question.
For World Showcase, because...
Do you want the cynical answer or the non-cynical answer?
Both. Both, please.
Bring both.
Remember what we mentioned earlier, Dave? It all comes down to the mighty dollar. It's which countries were the most financially capable of sponsoring it. And honestly, that's one of the reasons you see a lot of first world countries represented in World Showcase. That's a cynical answer. The non-cynical answer is, of course, these are wonderful countries with a wonderful culture. But I'm sure we would all agree, why can't we have Spain there? Why can't we have Greece there? There are so many wonderful countries.
Japan? I mean...
Well, we have Japan, but I know what you mean.
I mean, Australia. I would love Australia in there.
Sure. So the original idea behind World Showcase was created by John Hench, famous Imagineer, and originally it was going to be a separate theme park by itself. It was going to be constructed out by the Polynesian Resort, and
Wow.
it would have been themed after an airport, where you enter an airport and you have different terminals, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you have different signs going to different countries and so forth. So the whole thing was based on an airport terminal. And I'm very, very grateful. There's another famous Disney Imagineer. His name was Harper Goff. He convinced John Hench, that's a neat idea, but it's probably not visually the best. It'll be much more compelling if you enter World Showcase and you see that whole vista just played out with you, like a united world, right? And I'm very grateful they took that direction instead of the airport direction.
Yes.
But the idea behind the airport direction was that each country could have a wedge of the airport, but depending on the funding that they would give, it could go deeper or shallower depending on what they wanted to do. So, what I love about World Showcase is that they took Harper's idea. They have the beautiful vistas played out.
I
And
love
honestly, that's one of
it.
the reasons I got such heartburn when they came out with Harmonious and that big circle in the middle, because it wrecked that vista.
I know, and I love that view. And I'm like,
Sure.
all I want to do is be in Japan and look through the gate and see Spaceship Earth on the other side. And
It's a beautiful view.
Well, that's why I love
that big thing
I
showed up.
love it.
Now the show itself was fine. Don't get me wrong. I was fine with the show.
Yeah.
Although I'll have
which brings up another question.
I'll have complaints about two places, but yeah, that's fine.
I had to ask you, out of all the shows, because I grew up on music. I grew up on drama.
Sure.
So I love everything from classical to contemporary to pop, soft rock, a little bit of, rock and roll, like AC/DC and Aerosmith, and some of those ones. Let me ask you, which show did you find out the best? Because I'm going to tell you, I know you had the big Earth thing, and it would come down and it would thing. But the thing about that is they moved that in and out every night for the show. Now, see, I love the Illuminations because of the music.
Right.
Not so much of the show, but I did love the glow and how they did a thing, but it was more about the music for me. What show do you find best that you love for Epcot? And they've done a few over the years.
For Epcot in particular or all up? I'll
Epcot
answer
in
both.
particular.
For Epcot, I really loved Illuminations. The original was great. I probably, from an emotional point of view, love Reflections of Earth the most, just because it resonates so much emotionally.
Thank you. Yeah, see, I love that Reflections of music.
But in all up though, I have to tip my hat to two of them, and one of them was from my childhood. I have very acute memories of the Main Street Electrical Parade. I love that show.
Oh yes.
I never
And
saw
it's
that.
just a classic show. And for the other, I'd have to go with Pete. Fantasmic is an amazing show in and of itself.
I've never seen
consider
that.
that a masterpiece. So
I have never seen Fantasmic.
what? Oh my gosh,
I've never seen it.
yeah. Whether you're in Disneyland or in Magic or in Hollywood Studios, you've got to check it out.
Lay off the Starbucks, Mike, and maybe you might just get the Fantasmic.
No. Anyway. Oh, wait a minute.
I know I do want to do a couple of things.
Sure.
I'm gonna because I know we've been yapping for an hour. So if you you need to grab some water, John. I'm gonna play my commercial for my travel thing, and then I'm gonna drop my news. Guys, stand by. We are going to, but then unless John has to rush right away, if he's got a few more minutes, we'll keep going on after that. But let me drop my news and all that, and we'll be back in about a minute.
Whether it's luxury or fun in the sun, Dave's got the tips to make your cruise number one. Tune in, sit back, let's plan your stay on Cantrell Country's Travelway. It's Cantrell Country's Travelway, setting sail on adventure every day. From island south to ocean blue, we got your cruising covered through and through. Pack your bags and set your sights. We're cruising seas and booking flights from the ports to the waves where dreams come alive. Dave Cantrell is here to guide your ride. It's Cantrell Country Travel Way, setting sail on adventure every day. From island stops to ocean blue, we've got your cruising covered through and through.
Obviously, guys, if you want to travel, reach out to me. Thank you, Debbie, for putting the links in there, and all that. Yep. Just reach out to me through those contact things. If you can't get me through there, obviously you can reach out to me through the thing. I do got one big news, guys. I love John to death, but it just seems like it's getting better and better. John, we know, is a great guy.
Yes.
We love what he's part of this community.
You've got bigger news.
And
That's
he is pretty
way
much a
more.
legend,
He is.
not in his own right with what he's done, but with his family legacy. Well, guys, it just gets better because as of today, we've got another legend. And for all those that have been to Port Orleans, and this guy's been, John, maybe you can help me remember. I think he's been there 23, 24, maybe 25 years. I think it's been 23 or 20.
The man's amazing. Yeah.
But next week, confirmed, April 7th, Monday night at 6 p.m., we have Yeehaw Bob coming on the Disney Life.
Bob is coming.
We do have Yeehaw Bob confirmed for next Monday, guys. So if you want to continue the fun, make sure you're here at 6 o'clock. I mean, anybody that has ever seen this guy's show, it's going to be wow. And I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what he's going to bring.
Yeah, guys.
Except I know it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But it is written. It's been. Thank you. He started at 2, so it has been.
Wow.
I don't know exactly when. I think it's been close to 24, 25 years then.
25
to be
years.
exact.
According to Joe.
The whole 21st century. You could put it that way.
Yeah. So anybody that watches this guy's show, I don't care how many times you see the show, it brings a smile to you. I mean, John, let me ask you this: Have you ever physically sat down at the Roosters Lounge?
Not there, but I was lucky enough to watch him at Give Kids a World, and he pulled off an amazing show there. So I'm sure that's very representative of the show he gives at Port Orleans.
I've only watched it on the streams, and I've never seen him in person.
Yeah, he's an amazing talent. I'm so happy for you, Dave.
Well, and I know you live down in Orlando, right around in that area, John?
No, I live in Seattle.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's about the farthest possible direction you can get. No.
And that was great. Well, next time, I'll tell you what, the next time you are in Orlando, let me know, and we'll go.
Sure.
I will take you personally to go catch Yeehaw Bob at Port Orleans.
Meet up there and go give Bob our love. I think he's an amazing entertainer. And the next time we're all down there, we should definitely do something together.
All of us need to get into the big tables in the front.
Oh my Lord.
And it'll be a blast. I can guarantee you. And look, I've only met the guy twice, but he was fun. He's always been receptive, and he loves it, and he does good. And I'm looking forward to this interview next week. So, like I said, I know.
I'm so great. I'm so happy for you, Dave. I'm just some guy, some Disney fan who happens to have some fun stories. But Bob is a really true talent. I believe he should be a Disney legend, and he's going to rock it. I'm excited for you.
I agree.
And I'm telling you, you guys, anybody that has caught my shows, this last time.
Yep. I did.
And in February, you watch his shows. He is just hilarious.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
For sure. I'm super excited, and I'll be here with bells on.
Yeah. All right. So
I have to ask you this.
Go ahead, Dave.
Now this has got this.
Yes.
And it can be across any of the park. Well,
Sure.
what are now this is kind of more of a down on a personal thing.
Sure.
What are some of your favorite, what is your top restaurant and what are some of your other ones behind that for the,
You took my
as
question.
far as eating at Walt Disney World?
He took my question, so.
Wow. That's a
I knew
great
it was
one.
coming because he was Park and Eats. He's
Yes.
gonna ask food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, there's so
Yeah.
many good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends on what mood I'm in, right? Animal Kingdom, I love Yak and Yeti.
Okay.
Gosh, I love every restaurant in Epcot. What was really surprising to me is last time we went over there, not this past December, but the trip before, we stayed at the Dolphin, and they have some amazing restaurants in the Dolphin. If you haven't,
Really?
yes.
Yeah.
Down in I think the first floor, there's a restaurant called Todd English's Blue Zoo for seafood. It was some of the best food I've ever had. So my recommendation is when you go there, don't neglect the non-Disney restaurants. There are some amazing restaurants on property and without. But I probably have to say, just from an emotional point of view, is Raglan Road. I love that place. I love going there. I love watching the entertainment, and the food's phenomenal every time I go.
Oh yeah. And I will say this: if you got any Irish in you, you love it because I'm part Irish, I'm part Polish, so I definitely love Raglan Road.
So,
now I've never tried I've never tried the main restaurant, but I've tried their restaurant that's on the back side of it. But I do know that's where they're
more
the
fast food type.
smaller thing. So I have to ask you this: have you ever tried the Space 220 restaurant yet?
I have not. That opened, and I didn't get a chance to go there. But from what I've seen, I think it's an amazing concept. I love the idea of traveling up into space before you enter and leave. I don't know that it really hits the mark, and we could talk about that more another time. But I from a food point of view, I don't know if it's great or not.
Yeah, mixed reviews sometimes.
But I love the concept. The concept's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, then now for me, one of my favorite places to eat in Epcot.
Don't say it.
It's Via Napoli in Italy. I love their food.
And like I said, he had a connection. He has a bad connection, guys. I don't know why, but sorry, we didn't catch that. What was that?
Napoli. I love their pizza. It is so good and so delicious, and I'm like,
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. The minute he opened it, he said for him.
That place is a must-do for me. Always.
It's pretty good. I think I've been there once, and it's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aha.
I also like the place next to it, also in Italy.
Like Kevin Theme Park Adventure. Top one, Debbie. He's having technical glitches. What can I say?
Thank you.
Hey, and John wouldn't expect it to be a show if we didn't have a few technical glitches on this show.
Shenanigans, am I right? Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, it's the clean shenanigans. Now, if you want the more upper, come visit us on Friday and Saturday night. Then you'll get the shenanigans.
Not
now, have you guys ever eaten in the Golden Horseshoe in Frontierland? In the old days, that used to be a full-on restaurant and a show.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
My grandfather painted the background of the stage for the Golden Horseshoe.
Oh, really?
Whenever I'm in there, I try to peek. Is it still there? I don't know if it's still there or not.
Ah.
But now I think it's a fast food quick service, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is, I believe. Now, is this in Florida or in
Florida, Magic Kingdom? Of course, Disneyland has its own. I'm sorry, I think I messed it up. Florida is a Diamond Horseshoe.
Yes.
And LA is a Golden Horseshoe.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So I'm talking about the Florida one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I agree with Pete too. The restaurant there in Liberty Square is amazing.
Yes.
Can't remember the name of it.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. I do got to say welcome in, Pete.
Tavern.
I do want to say hello to Pete. Pete
Yes.
McDermott.
Hello, Pete.
Welcome in, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Okay.
Liberty Tree Tavern, I think. Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. They have amazing food. So if I'm in the Magic Kingdom, I'll probably go there too.
Okay.
I have to ask this, and now this is going back to the parks across the whole now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of mixed reviews on a lot of this stuff that are being now built into these parks.
Mm-hmm.
What is your what is your opinion, John? Because I know you come from the lineage you're coming from. What is your opinion, being, knowing your grandfather and your father and how you've had even a little input on it, with some of this stuff that's going into like the Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom? What's your opinion on that and the state of Disney parks, what they're doing? I mean, do you think they should have done because there's always been that argument that at this point, you got Universal building all these new parks now. Do you think that some of these should have been put into a fifth park, or do you agree with them putting these different lands into the different parks?
Wow. I think we need another hour for all that. But I have very hot takes on all of this. I think, to summarize my answer, I think Disney has lost the plot in some aspects. I think they've lost what really makes a good storytelling experience. And they're trying their best to, continue increasing the numbers of people in the park by hook or by crook, no matter what it takes. And that's not what Walt originally envisioned. Of course, he wanted people in the park, and it was a business at the end of the day. But he was trying to tell a story through magic and through immersion. And now we're in a situation where I don't want to complain about IP, because, IP is really what made the parks. A lot of the genetic material of the park is IP, but they're just throwing so much IP left and right that they just think, oh, we bring in this movie, we'll bring in that movie, and then we'll have just people show up and throw money at us. That's not how it works, guys. And at some point, especially with all the recent news about people getting disenchanted with the ticket prices and things like that, at some point it's gonna blow back on them. And we'll have to see, if the competition between Universal and Disney bears fruit or not. We'll see.
Right.
I like that. But, honestly, I would actually, if I'm going to already ask you, John, to come back on another night. I would love, I know Richard, me and Mike would love to delve into that, because we have had several conversations on this, and I would love you to come in and be a part of that, because of where you come from and your background and your wisdom. I mean, obviously that's good insight, and that makes quite that makes sense. And we didn't even think about all that, Mike. If you wouldn't mind coming back on another Monday night, would love to dive into what this Disney company is, because it means so much to a lot of us.
It does.
And we're, in some ways, we're happy with what they're doing, but in other ways we're not. It's sad to see where it's ending up at. Well, it's a two-edged sword. You got the good things that they're doing, but then they're killing themselves on the good things because of some of the other things they're doing. Like, I mean, these movies. I'm going to tell you, I'm an old, and call me old man, but I love the old classic B movies where you had the original Herbies. You had all the original Kurt Russell doing the Medfield movies with The Strongest Man in the World. See him now, doing The Barefoot Executive, and and all those movies. And then you had classic movies like Candle Shoe, which to me, Candle Shoe gets overlooked a lot, which is a good movie. And then you got all those other ones, besides Snow White, the original Snow White, and the original Sleeping Beauty, and all that. And now they're doing some of these. Honestly, to me, what is your opinion on the state of the movie side aspect?
I'd love to hear
because to me, they're just seem to be in a revolving door, just continuously doing it. They try to change it up, but it in a ways it's killing them.
Well, my opinion is no secret. I've mentioned this a lot in chat. I'm very tired of all the remakes, the sequelitis. I looked at the upcoming slate for the next year, and all I could find is either a number at the end of the title or it's a remake of something or other. The notion of telling an original story seems to have completely disappeared. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd rather have a remake of a good movie than an original movie that sucks. But, what are you going to do at the end of the day? You need to tell some new stories and bring in some fresh blood.
Oh, well, can I say something on this too, John? Because there's only one live action movie out of all of them that was fantastic, and I absolutely loved it, and it was this one. This one I love this movie to death. I just finished rewatching it.
Sure.
This was a great story from beginning to end. The next one I want to see them do is Ursula. I want to know Ursula's backstory. I want to know every villain's backstory and how they became the villain that they are. Absolutely.
Now, see, and I respect.
I'm sorry, I love this movie.
And that's fine. I respect Mike's opinion. I respect Mike's opinion, but to me, one of the best, and I know they did the original cartoon, but to me, one of the best live action that they did was the 101 Dalmatians. The original live action where, I know Cruella came out of it. Now, and that's why I'm saying I have nothing against it, Mike, but I've watched Cruella and I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan. But I do love her in, and I guess, I don't know if it was because Meryl Streep played Cruella in that, but I love the way they did that.
There's one movie that I would love to see a remake of. And that's the movie called The Black Cauldron out of the 80s.
Thank you.
If you've ever seen The Black Cauldron.
It's so overlooked.
Well, there's lots of interesting stories about that movie too. And
please do tell.
But I'll skip all that for the moment and just say, if they remade that movie with today's audience, based on how people ate up Lord of the Rings and all the other stuff, there's so many great stories to that Prydain franchise that they could just.
Can you see? Let me ask you this, Anna. Let me ask you on to that. Now that you mentioned that, are you seeing, further movies that they could do out of it besides maybe doing an updated version of the Black Cauldron?
The original movies, the original story was written by author, what was his name? Lloyd Alexander, I believe, and it was called the Prydain Chronicles. The Black Cauldron was just one book out of that series. So there are lots of stories that they could tell.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stories that could be added on to that then.
Yes. The problem is Disney took that story and they didn't really make it, I don't want to say kid friendly, but they really turned the dial all the way to being too dark. And you've got to have a little bit of light and a little bit of dark when you tell a story like that. Even Avengers Infinity War had some funny moments in it, right? Despite the dark story nature of it. So you've got to find the right balance.
And now see now here I can compare that to now we're going to go back to a movie that it's a beloved movie from the original, and everybody's going to have a different opinion on and that's Mary Poppins. Everybody loved the heck out of Mary Poppins.
I love that movie.
And now see, to me, what is all your guys' opinion on the updated version? Now I loved it not only because they connected it with Dick Van Dyke in the originals, but I love how they continued it. The story plot that could have been maybe a little bit better, but the way they connected it to the original movie, I thought it was pretty good.
I'm okay with continuing the story. There's a big difference between continuing a story and retelling it, right? There's a lot of these remakes are simply retold stories of the original. What's the point? Why bother? But if you continue the story, I have no complaints about that.
Yeah. But I absolutely loved it. But there was one little thing that was missing, and that we all love the great Julie Andrews, who
he was in it. He made an appearance, Mike.
He
made an appearance.
No,
she was the lady that. Yes, she did. She was actually the lady that sold the balloon.
Dave, that was Angela Lansbury. I know. I watched the film in the movie theater. It was Angela. It was not Julie Andrews.
That's a different Disney movie. Yeah.
Yes, but seriously though, I think that the way that Emily Blunt played her and got Julie Andrews' blessing to do this, because she knew she needed that to make sure that she would approve, and she did. And she did phenomenal in that role. Yes, she did.
And
you could be right. Now that I think about it, I think Julie Andrews turned it down.
I know.
And you probably know Disney acquired Fox a number of years ago, not too long ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have a huge library of IP that they could easily build on top of.
Absolutely.
So why they continue to go back to the well and remake stuff, I don't understand. But that's just me.
For me, the growing up in the 80s and the 90s and the seeing all of the old, with the Epcot, the commercials. And one of my favorite ones was when Mickey Mouse was on top of Spaceship Earth, waving, and then seeing the monorail come by, and lo and behold, every time I want to take a picture with the monorail, it never shows up when I want to do it. And I'm like, come on, monorail, I want to do it just like in the commercial. Nothing.
You got to get the timing just right.
Yes. So
you don't realize how far that monorail goes into the park. If you time it, it's a good few minutes before it shows up.
Yeah, and I mean now, but when your dad and grandfather went to opening day,
I don't know if they were at opening day. Now that I think about it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him. That's a good question. Yeah.
Okay. Because
anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. What was your question?
No. Because what I was going to ask you was, for them now seeing it with the guests arriving and everything that they did to now officially open the park.
Right.
What did they think of it when it was being built and when they saw it with the guests?
When they saw it all lit up and that's a great question. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
What I can tell you is now, whenever we enter the park, obviously there are all those good feelings, and it's an amazing testament to what they went through. But something's gone askew with Epcot. Something's gotten lost. When they decide, this is going to make me sound like an old curmudgeon, which I am.
No.
When they decided to demolish Communicore and get rid of the center of Future World at the time, they lost the heart of what that park is about. Communicore was intended to be the exit of Spaceship Earth. You get exposed to all these amazing ideas in Spaceship Earth. Communicore was the connective tissue between those ideas and our modern world, and how these ideas would be implemented in science and in math and law and all these ideas. That's gone now. So now you go through Spaceship Earth, you get exposed to some good ideas, and then you go hop on a fast ride or a boat ride or something. And some of that is still great, don't get me wrong, but the connective tissue between the ideas they're trying to tell and the rest of that park has been severed, and it's very sad to see. I hope they get back to it someday.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, I would love to see the Horizons come back again, Food Rocks.
Sure. And I don't want to sound like a curmudgeon that says, "Oh, I just want all the old rides back." There were some old rides that were stinkers. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, I never went on Body Wars, but
I
knew that it was there at the time.
Body Wars, I was a big fan of, simply because of the concept. Right? Body Wars is a high concept idea. Let's shrink you down and take you inside the human body.
That was a great idea, though.
Do stuff like that. Implementation was flawed, of course. A lot of people famously threw up on that ride. I don't know if you heard it or not. Well, it was basically Star Tours technology.
Yeah.
But because of the nature of being inside a blood vessel, you have lots of turbulence.
Right.
So it shook you quite a bit more than Star Tours ever did.
Right.
And when people went through that, they were like, "Oh, some upset stomachs." But the concept behind that ride is phenomenal, and I would love to see them take like a Flight of Passage technology and remake Body Wars with it. I think that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the Food Rocks, but by the end of it, I was not hungry. I was not hungry at all. But
sure. Who could eat these cute little faces? No, I get it.
But that was such a neat idea, and I loved it. Now, with the Horizons, one of my favorite things when I went through the ride was that you got to pick the ending that you wanted, and I'm like, this is a great idea too, because you're in the thing and you're going through the thing, and then the next thing you know, the sides are like, okay, where's everybody else? But then you got to pick on the panel, and
it was very innovative to give you that choice. However, there's a risk with that. When you give audiences a choice, you have to make damn sure that each path they take is just as compelling as any other path
That's
they take.
true. That's true.
So when you give people a choice of 3 endings,
I believe it was.
you got to make
3.
sure that all 3 are great. You know,
Yeah.
that's what they had to struggle with Star Tours.
Yeah.
Because it's randomized, you have to make sure each path through is just as good as any of the others.
Hmm.
That makes me curious as to, and that's what makes me curious as to now, what are they, you know, I'm a big Test Track fan. I love my automobile. And now I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it, because with all these changes, like you say, I mean, because car technology just was all part of, you know, that Communicore and all that thing. And now it's off. Now you have, you know, that one spate where 220 is, that one ride over there. And then you got Test Track over here. And honestly, I do look forward to seeing what they do with the Test Track.
Same.
I agree.
Well, you know, before Test Track, it was another attraction called World of Motion.
Yes.
And
Yes.
at the end of World of Motion, which was a very cute little dark ride that was created by some amazing people. But at the end of the show, you know, you entered that car showcase, you know, and there was the sponsors happy to sell you a car, and you could go talk to them and so forth.
And they still are today.
They are.
They got those salesmen right there. Can we send information on the vehicle? There you go.
But you know, that idea has a long history, all the way back to the World's Fair, when Walt had his Magic Skyway, he called it, and they were basically they were cars going through a slow ride, kind of like the People Mover does, to show off car technology and have some heady ideas there too. So there's a very, very deep heritage there. I hope they do a great job with a new version of Test Track. We'll have to see.
Yes, which good. I hope to reopen sometime this year.
I
don't know if I know I saw an updated article on it somewhere. I thought they said sometime this year that they were supposed to be opened again. But
yeah, but they need to go back, and I'm very happy Guardians has a great audience. It's a phenomenal ride. It's done very well. But I think the other attractions and the other pavilions need a little TLC. They're either aging or they've lost the plot a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to ask this about my favorite ride in Epcot.
No, they don't need no sweatshirt on Figment.
I already have one back here. Yes. Now, with Figment, I love that ride and I love that dragon a lot.
Yes.
Recently, I have heard that they might be doing something with Figment, aka a movie or something like that. Do you think now? What do you think of how the ride is right now?
As it currently exists? It's terrible.
Upgrade.
I knew it.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. The
original that Tony made was a stone cold masterpiece. They've really wrecked it. I hate to say it.
From what I understand, they should have never taken Figment out of the whatever he was part of originally, because I never got to Epcot until years after it's been changed. But from what I understand, the ride that he was originally part of, it sounds like they need to recreate something like that. Still using Figment, but bring something like that back. And I understand. Particularly, here's the reason why. You got a pavilion next to it that have two outstanding rides. Here's my thing why it wrote, and I agree with John. You've got Soaring, which is that ride is outstanding. I know I share your opinion in a minute, but then you got the Living Out of the Land, where you get to hear about all the farming and the agricultural, and then go through the thing. That one they better never touch, because those right there, at least not at the moment, because they're still good. I mean, what is your opinion on Soaring and Living on the Land?
Oh, I love Soaring. Soaring's great. Soaring was originally created for Disney's California Adventure as a marquee attraction. And I think, honestly, this is a spicy take, but I think it was one of the only good attractions to come out of that original theme park.
Really?
I'm glad that they brought it over to the other.
wow.
Well, I mean, come on, compare it to Superstar Limo and some of the other disasters they've had.
Mhm.
But they've improved California Adventure quite a bit. It's a
Yes.
very decent theme, very fine theme park now.
Yes.
But Soarin' itself is great. I'm glad that they put it over on the East Coast.
Mhm.
I don't know that it belongs in the land pavilion, but I'm glad that they found a home for it.
Yeah.
As far as imagination goes, I would exhort everybody to go look up on YouTube, look up Retro Magic Tony Baxter. He gives a 2-hour tour de force explanation about the history of that attraction. And anybody who loves Figment should go watch that.
Mm. I mean,
Sorry,
I
there was
absolutely
another
love
one
it.
you asked me about. Soarin', and what was the other one? Was it Figment?
Oh, the Living with the Land.
Oh, Living with the Land. That's fine. It was a little bit more, when it originally came out, it was a little bit more future thinking, and it had a little bit more advanced concepts. I would love for them to go back and update it. How is AI affecting the food industry? What's going on with these technologies? What's all these things with quantum going to do? So it needs a little love, but I'm glad it's still there.
Let me ask you.
I mean, it's a ride that will always need to be there.
Mhm.
But I agree with you, John. You're right. You got AI that now
Yeah.
it's affecting all. Even
It is.
I will say this, even for us that do YouTube channels right now, which you will be doing soon, AI
Mhm.
has become a big part of
Oh,
the
yeah.
technology factor that we do now, each and every day.
For sure.
And you've heard me talk before the show started. I am actually starting to learn all the different aspects of AI.
Well, I'm happy to
Maybe
be
I
in
can get a
contact.
job doing that and make good money. Because right now, that industry is just growing at
Mhm.
leaps and bounds. That's where it is. And I want to see. Here's my question: How I know Disney is lacking it. Do you think they'll ever catch up to you adding AI into some of these rides to try to enhance them even more eventually?
That's a phenomenal question. And it goes back to what I said about Horizons. The more stuff that you add to an attraction that could vary, the less control you have over the final product.
Mm.
So let's say you add AI to an attraction and it could do one of 100 things. You have to make sure that each of those 100 things entertain the audience and give them their money's worth. So I'm sure it'll happen at some point. However, there are going to be some storytelling challenges, let's put it that way. It's the same reason why we don't have AI movies right now, is because you want to make sure the path is correct.
Yes.
Does that mean we'll never see AI movies? Of course not. But we have to make sure that the experience is right on.
And I would agree, because
I agree.
obviously right now you look at the AI, you're getting robotics that are almost human-like, and it's developing. And think about it. AI really didn't pop until a year ago in 2024 when it really started blowing out the door.
That's
Now
true.
a year later, now you're getting these robotics that everybody's trying to create that are starting to become more human. At least they won't. At least they'll learn not to drink Starbucks. Anyways,
one other thing.
but it will affect that. Obviously, right now we're still using animatronics.
Yes.
But where does that AI play into some of these? The more robotics that come into the AI field, how will they play into the rides?
Those will always be there. And the reason why is film attractions, or attractions that are primarily on a screen, they age like milk left out. You probably know this by heart. And why do hundreds and thousands of people line up to see some old pirates from the 50s? It's old animatronics, but they still tell a story, and they're still tactile. They're still there in 3D.
That's right.
Contrast that with any other attraction that is screen-based or something like that, and it just ages really quick. So there's something to be told. Walt had his finger on the right button there when he talked about creating these mechanical 3-dimensional objects that tell stories. He was onto something there, and I don't think those will ever go away.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I just see them adding, as much as technology develop and as AI develops, I see it being added to it. Once they can understand it more and develop more, and it's fastly developing. You can see it. the more of that, I just see it enhancing the animatronic is where I mean, at least that's where my thinking was going when I asked the question. I mean,
Got
do
it.
you see that? Do you see that? Not, I don't see the animatronics going away, but do you actually see it one day enhancing those animatronics
Well, we'll
possibly?
have to see. I mean, the new Walt Disney animatronic is coming out pretty soon in Disneyland, so we'll have to see what that comes out. Mike, I see your eyebrows. Did you not hear about this?
Yes, I do, and I want
Okay,
to know
okay.
this. Are they bringing one to Disney World as well?
I don't know. I don't
They
know. I guess we're
should,
waiting to see
really.
what the reaction will be like.
Okay. One of the things.
If they have people with pitchforks outside the gates, maybe
Oh,
not.
no. But I mean, years ago when I went on my first family trip to Disney World back in the 1996, I remember going into Interventions, East and West,
Yes.
over in Epcot.
Yes.
And one of my favorite memories is me talking to one of my family members on a video phone. Now, mind you, this was 1996. How did Interventions come to be? Because that was such a fun time for me to just look at all of the technology. So, how did Interventions start out?
It started for my father. He designed Communicore. It was as it was originally created, and later on it turned into Interventions when
I
they
loved
were trying
it.
Yeah,
and I miss it very much. Actually,
Interventions, it had some good parts, but over time it kind of decayed, to be honest. And there were a lot of parts of it that were just left to rot, which is sad to see. But if you go back in time and you look at some old videos, some of the original Communicore exhibits were quite innovative. And like I mentioned before, they were the connective tissue between the big ideas in Spaceship Earth and today's modern reality. I'll give you one example. My father created something called the Electronic Forum, which was a part of Communicore. And it was a theater that you would march into, and they would ask you questions about current events. It's like, hey, do you think we should get energy from so-and-so country?
That's right. I think I do remember that.
Yeah. And there were buttons on the chairs, A, B, C, D.
Yes, I remember. Yes, I remember the chairs.
Yes, that was called the Electronic Forum, and it was truly groundbreaking for its time.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Today you have polls left and right?
Yes.
But at the time, no one had really ever created some kind of a experience where people were polled in that way to try to form a better world. And that was the idea behind it. And there are lots of
great idea. Oh my gosh, I do miss that a lot because it's just.
Obviously today it's too quaint and it wouldn't work today, but at the time it was great.
Oh my gosh. I mean it's just walking in there and just seeing a phone with a video screen, and now we do that all the time now, and I'm like,
yes, exactly.
Oh, and then and mind you, they were just starting out with that, I believe, in 1996, and now we got the phones with the videos and I'm like, man, Disney knew what was coming, and it's just.
He did.
I honestly miss it. I really
do. You
do.
remember the reservations you could make after exiting Spaceship Earth? There had a bank of video screens, and you could call up their cast member right on the screen and make reservations.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. That was really unique at the time.
Cool.
Yep. Now it's an everyday thing with Zoom calls and everything else. I mean,
it is.
All right, guys. Well, we've actually been going an hour and 33 minutes.
It's been fun.
Obviously, we could keep going on and on. So I am going to ask John if you would commit to coming back one day.
I would love to.
I mean, there's so much more. There's so more that we would love to dig into and just pick your. I mean, I know you're like us. You love your Disney. You've got your opinions. Some are going to be good. Some are going to be bad. Like all of us. But yes, part 2, Paul.
Absolutely.
So I hope you can bring folks like Paul and Debbie and Jill on too, because they have just as many amazing stories as I can convey.
Clint, you know what? I can guarantee you, I will ask if I can confirm it. I will get Pete to come on. I will get Maui to come on. Paul. And maybe Debbie.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Everybody in this community has
Um,
some
Something to
novel
bring and
experience.
offer. I mean,
mhm.
That's one
and
thing I love
little
about the
by
Triple
little, I'm
P.
trying to bring everybody on too,
Right.
so that,
Right.
like I said, as mine is growing, and we've grown a little bit more tonight, I see
Yes.
from the numbers.
Wonderful.
That goes to show you
Oh yes.
what kind of
Oh
good
yes.
interviews you
And
bring.
Stephanie. And Stephanie
And,
too.
and Stephanie too. We'll bring
Mhm.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Hey, Paul, when are you going to take her on a cruise? I'm waiting to hear from you guys.
Mhm.
Maybe a honeymoon,
I
maybe?
got
Well,
plenty of
it's gonna be
stuff
a
to
Disney
show you guys for
cruise.
cruises now. Just saying. Just saying.
By the way, Stephanie,
Ah,
she loves
Anyway.
Starbucks too. So.
no, I know
Anyway,
she's from this area. Yeah.
I like doing that. I've actually I picked this up with other people. Obviously you've already, do you have any specific date of when you're going to kick your channel off?
I haven't. I
Yeah.
don't have a date and a specific date yet. I'm thinking about a month or so. I need to take some time and really plot out these episodes and talk about and try to do some research because I don't want people committing to an hour if they're not getting something out of it. And I think it's my due diligence to make sure that there are compelling stories to be told because we can even something as simple as the carousel or Dumbo, we could spend an hour about just talking about the history and why it works.
And it is. And I've done shows where I've dove into that. In fact,
Oh yes.
you talked to John, we looked at the history, a show that I did not last year, but I think it was the year before.
I think it was, Dave,
If,
where we went into mission space like
we actually delved
dove
into
into that
mission,
ride.
and we started with the history of NASA.
We did.
I actually learned things about mission space that I did not know. Then how much input NASA actually had into mission space,
right?
Which is, those are one of those things that, again, I'd like to delve into and see aspect from an engineering type, or at least from where your family comes from.
Did you ever see the video of inside the attraction, how the centrifuges spin?
I think it's been a while. I need to go back. I think that's on the Imagineering.
Yeah,
Imagineering show on Disney Plus. I need to go rewatch it.
Sure.
But I mean, so obviously, I'd like to bring you back, and yes, we'll bring Paul in, and I'll see if I can get Pete or some of them, and we can all just do a little. I like to call it a round table. Mike knows we love doing our round tables
round tables where now for me it's like because when we have done the round tables before, we go into some deep stuff, and yes, we do get very very passionate about
we won't let it get that far, Mike.
No.
With that many people on, I wouldn't let it get that far.
Right.
Time and place for shenanigans. I get it.
But the roundtables are like really, really good.
Well, I gotta say, in closing, there's a reason why people spend so many hundreds of dollars and so line up for hours and hours for these things. It's not for the technology. It's not for any technical stuff we can talk about, although I love talking about that. It's about the core storytelling experience, and hopefully that's one of the reasons we all come together as a fan base about this stuff.
Yep.
So I'm very grateful to you, Dave, for having me on. Thank you, Mike.
And you guys and like I said, I'll talk to these others to see if they want to come on and do. I mean, and we'll bring you back and we'll lock you in on a future.
Yeah, Debbie's right.
I see that, Mike. And we'll have a nice little discussion on the different things, because I mean, there's so many. Like you said, there's so many things. So I mean,
you can go into rabbit holes for hours about any small thing.
So any final thoughts to the community from you, John?
Like I mentioned, it's all about our shared love of the experience. It's never about the technical or technology or anything like that. I have met so many sterling individuals in this community, and I think that really it attests to the quality of what we're all here for and why we love these things as much as we do. it attracts good people, including the people on the screen first and foremost, but especially the people on chat as well. And
Yeah.
I'm just tickled to be part of this community, and
Yes.
I hope I can live up to it.
Yeah, because I do believe I got to meet you back in December too.
That's right.
Now that
We
I
met
think
briefly
about
at,
it,
yeah, at the boardwalk.
Yep. So I've actually gotten to meet John, and John is a great person. Then, I mean, obviously, I was surrounded up by Debbie and Molly because those were the biggest influences.
Sure, of course.
But I did
Rightfully
get to,
so.
I did get to meet John, and he's a great, and I love it. And thank you for coming on. I can't say enough.
Yes.
Mods, can you again put his link in the
Yeah.
chat?
Yes.
It's still a fledgling channel. There's only a teaser up there now, but take a look, and hopefully some good stuff will come soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, so if you can put his link in there. Again, guys, don't forget, tomorrow night, Dave's Vacation Oasis on the Travel Channel.
That's right.
Not sure exactly where we're going, but we'll travel somewhere. I don't know where we're traveling, but we'll travel somewhere. But it won't be to a Starbucks, I can tell you that.
I have
That's going to be made walk the block.
one. So maybe you can help John to
we'll see.
get him into Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, I don't want to get kicked out of my hometown, or not my town, my town where I'm living right now. So
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, Mike knows I love picking on Mike about that. That's been a long running joke for I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what probably about a year and a half now, Mike. We've been running with that joke.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. Molly, I hope that you were still in here because she sent me.
Anyways, like I said, technical glitches. I don't think he's.
I think he rage quit. There he is.
I did not rage quit. Look, see, ta-da!
There you go.
I don't know what you're saying, but you better get it fixed, Mike. There's something. Your picture is bad. I don't know why. No, but seriously, see, I love it. John's smiling. I mean, hey, we first of all, thank you for the interview, John.
Absolutely.
It was really you've even given me more insight and even more. Hopefully, we ask questions maybe you haven't been heard of.
No, the opening day question was great. That's one I'll follow up on, Mike.
Because
again, guys.
I'd love to know.
Again, we're looking to continue this thing next week. I encourage you, please come if you guys really love Yeehaw Bob. And no, I'm not worried about Mama D. I am. There ain't no way I'm worried about her.
Mm-hmm.
If she tries to take me out, she better stand on a garbage can.
I'm keeping my mouth shut. I'm meeting Debbie again in August. I'm not getting myself into trouble.
No. You're good.
No, I love Mama D. I love Mama D to death.
Debbie's great.
Yeah, Debbie is. Mama D is awesome. Listen, I know when I'm not feeling bad. I know when I'm not feeling bad or I'm feeling low. She's the first person to reach out to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I appreciate that.
She's a sweetheart and she's an angel.
She
is. She's got such the biggest heart.
She does.
There ain't enough nice words to cover what Mama D is.
Oh, absolutely.
And obviously, but anyways. So again, guys, please come join us next week.
Yes.
It's gonna. I am so nervous about that one.
Why?
You'll do great, Dave.
Because that is Yeehaw Bob. We're not. I mean,
turn on his mic and walk away.
John is a legend. We're talking.
Yeah.
He kind of is a
you'll
super
be fine,
legend.
Dave. You'll be fine. He's such an entertaining guy. I'm looking forward to it quite a bit.
Me too. I'm not saying a word. I'm saying I don't.
I love Mama D. I love Mama D. But yeah, so we will remember it'll be again 6 p.m.
Yes.
And guys, please push it out.
Absolutely.
I would love to see a ton of people come in here.
Yes.
And help them because I can guarantee you we will talk about Give the Kids the World.
Yes, definitely.
We will talk about the Magical Night of Hope.
Yep.
I'm hoping maybe I can lure him into doing maybe popping in and I might give the kids the world. Moderators, Mike, I don't know if you put that in the chat. Moderators,
I didn't.
Saturday. What time did we schedule for? 1:30?
I believe so. Yes.
1:30. Moderators, if you want to help with that fundraiser,
I have to set it up.
1:30 p.m. next Saturday, Zoom call.
I've set it up.
And Mike will put. I don't think he's done it yet, but he'll get that information into the mod chat.
Yes, I will be doing it. I'm gonna give you
So,
guys
and I look forward to doing that. See, these are things John gets to look forward to. The things that he's doing. I mean, and this is something I started about the time the Magical Night Hope did.
Yeah.
But I was such a small channel. I was like a fine channel. Now I'm just a small little channel.
Well, you're doing great.
But it's a
Dave.
growing.
We all love you. We're all very excited at the joy and energy you bring here.
Look forward to the day I can crack 1,000. That like anything about again. And I know, John, I say the same thing for you. It's not about how fast you grow.
Yep.
It's about the quality, and I can see you already delivering the quality content. I already see you growing fast.
Very.
We'll see it. But again, like you say, I'm not here for the numbers. I'm here for the community and the love of what we do here.
Absolutely.
And if I can convey just an ounce of that, I've considered my job done.
Hey, and you know that anything that you need from me, I'm more than willing to help you. Again, I do this, especially when I have a great guest. I offer that anytime you just want to come in and hang out with us, you're more than welcome. If you want to come hang out with us on a Friday night for the shenanigans, come on in. We love the more the merrier on the shenanigans.
I'll be there with bells on, and
Mama D tried to make Mike and Richard behave, but it's almost impossible.
Oh, come on. When I'm on the floor laughing, I know it's been a good.
So, it's almost, the good thing is it's so late we don't have to deal with Mike as much.
There you go.
Unless he wants to stay up. Now, he has stayed up once or twice. Particularly on the Disney Cafe chat, he's come in for a while.
Yeah.
And we've had some off the rail walls on that one, too. So, David T., hello.
Hello, David T., welcome in.
So, with that, Mike, any final thoughts from you, buddy?
Yes, great interview. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for coming. And one final question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Disney park snack that is a must for you?
Oh, gosh. Snack. That's a great question.
Snack item.
Well, I love Dole Whips, and I have to wander over to the Polynesian to get that spiked Dole Whip whenever I can.
All right.
I have to, I'm gonna go with what Pete said the other day. I have very vivid memories of eating popcorn in the plaza of Disneyland, and it's hard to beat that classic popcorn in the park kind of thing.
There you go.
So can't go wrong with that.
I agree. I can go with that.
I can go with that as well.
I can go with that. I mean, to me, the next thing will be, if it's not the popcorn, it's just that Mickey pretzel.
That's true. Now the churros in Disneyland are amazing. I've heard they're not so great on the East Coast, but if you're in Disneyland,
David T's asking you one more question.
Yeah.
Dole Whip.
The one with rum. You must hop on the monorail and you must go over to the Polynesian Resort. They make an amazing drink with Dole Whip, and it's worth every minute.
Okay.
John, the next time you come down, you got to let me know, and I got to come down and hang out with you.
Absolutely, we'll have fun.
Mm-hmm. I love a Mickey pretzel with the cheese. I love.
I don't need the cheese. I'm not, but I do love my Mickey pretzel.
Well, with all the festivals now, we're really spoiled for choice. There's so many different things that we can eat now.
It is.
So it's hard to keep up with it all.
I know. And we have merch too.
Yes, which reminds me, guys, make sure you guys go check out my partner channel, Richard Blumencheese.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't even heard from him today. Have you, Mike?
Not really.
I haven't heard from him today. But go check that out. And I know one thing for sure. If you do want, I know there's a lot of good channels that do a lot of good food reviews, but I will tell you, go check out Park and Eats.
Yes.
They really do a decent, I mean, I don't know if you've checked them out, John, but Richard and Mike do a pretty good darn job on food
We
reviews,
get into
especially
some
for the
deep
festival.
the discussions about food at the parks because we love food, and it's like for me when I go down Main Street and I go to Casey's Corner and get my corn dog nuggets with the fries, delicious.
Yep.
You go to
Disneyland
Casey's.
has its own corn dog.
Don't you know when you go to Casey's that's based on baseball,
Yes.
you get a foot-long hot dog.
Yes,
Baseball and hot
Phillies,
dogs
thank
is
you
what
very
it's
much.
about, not corn dogs.
I
Well,
love
that's why
corn
you have to
dogs.
go to the
I'm
corn
going to
dog
teach you
wagon.
right yet, Mike.
I love corn dogs.
Disneyland has its own corn dog wagon at the end of Main
Really?
Street.
Oh,
It's
wow.
phenomenal. Oh my gosh, it's so
Oh.
Neat.
You know what? I think I need to go hang out with John out in
Yeah.
Disneyland.
Mhm.
He can
should
let
definitely make
him take us around.
Yes.
No, there's nothing quite like walking through the same park Walt walked in. Yes, it's smaller. Yes, it's not as grand, but there's something magical about that place to this day.
Yeah, and that's one of the places I've always
I want to
wanted
go
to
myself.
put into, because honestly, I will tell you, I was there, but all I know is that I was being held in my grandfather's arms. I was nothing but a baby when I mean, my older brothers and sisters were young enough to do it, and my grandparents took my mom, dad, and my my older brother, older sister, and me. But and of course, I was the apple. Of course, I was the apple of my grandfather's eye. I mean, just saying. That's how much of an angel I am. So
I'll let that one lie.
Oh my goodness. Popcorn. huh?
you know what,
Mm.
John? I do seriously hope you had a great time, buddy.
Yeah.
For sure. I did.
Hopefully
I'm
you
happy
love
to
the
come back.
questions. And again, like I said, you're more than welcome to come hang out with us on
Absolutely.
Friday and Saturday night.
You're more than
Hopefully,
welcome.
I will work on getting Debbie and Paul and Stephanie and maybe Pete and Molly to come join us. Who knows? Maybe we can even get Tina Marie to come in
Yes.
Absolutely.
and
Mhm.
We got to hear about the pickles. We can't have a talk here without pickle talk. So let's
oh
get
yeah,
Tina
you gotta
on.
have the pickle. You gotta have the pickle talk
Oh,
from
yeah.
Disney now. Obviously.
Yep.
So I will. You know what? I will work on that and see if I can make that happen.
Okay. All right.
So with that, guys, I don't think anything else from you, either one of you guys.
No.
Thanks again for having me, Dave. It was
You
a
are
pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on. It's been a
Sure.
great job. I had a great interview. I
Me
didn't
too.
expect it to last this long, but it was such fun, and I love listening to your stories. That it was
Me
just.
too.
I mean, I've learned a lot, even a lot more than when I listened to when you were on with Pete and all them. But so,
we've just scratched the surface. There are so many of these great stories.
and I tell you what,
I want to
we're
hear
looking
more.
forward. We'll bring you back, even if we have to bring you back on a separate night to hear some more of these stories.
Sure. Tons of
Happy to.
stories because I love
Happy
this
to.
stuff.
There's so much great stuff there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much to delve into in Disney. It's beyond belief.
Yep.
But I will always say what I always say, guys, and part of it is what Tina and a lot of these guys say. Look, when you got somebody that's hurting in the community, and I will tell you this now, one of my mods in here is hurting big time.
Yes.
He needs prayer for his. I won't tell you what the situation is, but I think it's pretty well known. Dean had a loss in his family.
Yes.
Prayers to him and his family.
Absolutely.
I met Dean back in December. Fortunate enough when I was able to get down there and surprise the hell out of everybody at Boardwalk. I got to meet Dean, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to hang out since then because either he's been sick or I've had issues. But I know we will hang out again and do a stream together. But prayers out to his family and keep him. And prayers out, and the best thing that you can do is reach out to somebody and listen to them or check on them and just say hi. You never know when you guys are going to cheer up somebody. Like I said, you guys, Saturday was such a downer day. I got the chewing out from Pete And then you guys were all in here. By the end of the night, I was laughing and having fun, and I was back to normal self. And I think y'all saw that at the end. We were all kind of laughing and having fun. So, so thank you for that, John, because I know you were here, and I know Debbie and Paul and all of them were here, and and I know I got to support more of the community. It just some days it's so hard because I've been fighting this stuff with the house and everything else. It does get to you after a while.
Yeah.
But still, you don't bring that into the chat, and unfortunately, I did that night, and it was really bad. So apologize to everybody for that night. But good thing it ended up on a night. Tonight we had a great night with John.
We did.
We did. So with that, I'm going to say what I always say. From the world of Disney magical theme parks, may you wish upon a star and your dreams come true. Have a magical night.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
If you'll hold on, John, talk to you one more minute if you got time.